3, 2, 1. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Stadium and Gale. Filling in as the introductory guest is Dan.
And Nick.
Man, oh man, Nick, it's good to have you. Silk will be on a little bit later. He is out there with Junior at a makeup football game, so he'll be joining us a little bit later. Nicholas, how was your weekend, my friend?
Mine was good. That's a tease right there, Dan. Everyone's tuning in each week to see if Harlem is throwing passes yet, or if he's still just running around playing running back at quarterback.
All right, so because Silk's going to be joining us later, over under number of passes that Junior has thrown in this game.
Well, I saw on IG that he was like catching passes the other over the weekend, maybe. So
position move.
Let's go with we'll set the over under at 4.5.
I'm going to say under.
Oh, I can't agree with you, so I'll go over.
Okay,
just to go against your bet.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll have an answer later today. That's exciting stuff. You stay tuned for the end of the show to find out what the answer to that is. All right, Nick, I've got a very, very, very important question. You and I were talking about it I think it was last Tuesday or Wednesday. Will you be submitting your application to be on the adult version of Legends of the Hidden Temple?
I'm all about that.
Okay.
All about that show. I saw that and I went and I filled out all my stuff and I went to go hit submit and I saw you had to have other people. And as you get older, you realize you don't have many friends. You have less friends than you used to. And I was like, I don't know who else to sign up for. So I just kind of X'd out. Like the dream was dead.
I wonder if I can fill out multiple applications. I'd be more than happy to be your sidekick, Nick.
Well, see, there's a stringent process I'm going to go through. I'm going there to win, Dan.
Well, it sounds like you don't have any options. So it's either go, not go.
You're right. The process has become less stringent. You're in, Dan.
That's right. All right. Well, we'll work on our application a little bit later. Other than that, Nick, did you do anything exciting this weekend?
I was at baseball for 3 days. Watched UFC 262. I watch every UFC fight, and then with baseball starting at 6:30 Saturday, I didn't get to leave the stadium until around 10:30. And I'm watching like on Twitter, and it's just like a guy in an arm bar, his arm snaps, knockout, and I'm like, okay, this is a great card to be sitting at the Florida press box and not be watching. But I got to Gators dockside where my friends were watching it, and it was a good card. Really good card. Bunch of finishes. Other than that, not much. What about you, Dan? Any boating?
Yeah, I did. So my best friend was in town. My best friend lives up in Seattle. You might have met him. My buddy Mike. He was down in town. He lives in Seattle, and so he works for Microsoft. Him and his wife had a baby about 5 months ago, and Microsoft gives, I think, 2 or 3 months a year or a paternity leave within the first year of the baby being born. So
paternity leave.
Yeah, paternity leave. So he didn't use it until now. So he's taking a month off. So he's down in South Florida, came up here. He's in Gainesville today, heading up to Atlanta, then heading up to South Carolina to see his wife's family. So it's good to see him. It's been about 18 months since we've seen each other. So we tried to get up to Seattle last year, obviously with COVID and everything else. The world had different plans, so it's great to see him. But we got out boating. We got out to Whiskey Joe's over here in Tampa. Watched the sunset, got some good drinks and all that. So, but it's great to see him. We also got to see the Tampa Bay Lightning go on a quick 1-0 lead over your Florida Panthers, Nick, in game 1 of the first round of the NHL playoffs. So I know that aches you, but
my Twitter filters are so strong that I didn't even know the NHL was in the playoffs.
But
I have muted words like puck. I tried to mute pass, and then I missed a bunch of football stuff in the fall. But I've muted NHL, Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning, hashtag whatever the Lightning's hashtag was last year during their run to the Stanley Cup. Muted
Bolts.
that.
Okay.
Muted Bolts. Have muted long Russian sounding last names.
Okay, like Kucherov,
Vasilevsky. Muted.
Yeah.
Their
Nikita.
nicknames. Yeah. Their nicknames muted. Yeah, if there's like a cool spy movie coming out, I have no idea.
Oh,
I
man,
have no
man,
clue.
man. Nick, you missed out. Well, hopefully you got to see my usage of Will Muschamp's only redeeming thing that he gave to University of Florida, and that was it's great to see all these people out here getting disappointed. I love it when the Lightning were able to pull off a win last night.
The Treon Harris game.
The Treon Harris game. Well, Nick, let's get into some Florida Gators things. But before we do that, as always, let's give a shout out to my friend Lee Friedland over at the law firm of Friedland and Associates. He's going to help you with auto accidents, medical malpractice, nursing home cases, criminal matters, and all personal injury cases in every jurisdiction within the state of Florida. Give him a call, 1-800-95-INJURED, or visit yourfightourbattle.com. Again, 1-800-95-INJURED, yourfightourbattle.com. All right, Nick. So big news just announced right before we got on the air tonight. The University of Florida has announced that they will resume full in-person participation in the athletic department and all other activities around campus. And fan participation in the Swamp will be at full capacity this fall. Are you excited for another season of raucousness in the Swamp?
Yeah, so for me, I think I was the only writer that went to every game last year. There wasn't really a benefit of going to the games. Everything was on Zoom. So normally we'd be able to go down to the field before the games. I remember getting yelled at in 2013 because if you remember, you're an OG. If you remember that Vernon Hargreaves wore number 16 at Florida for a game.
One game. First game, right?
First game, wore number 16. Ugly. We talked about ugly numbers before. I think when Ahmad was on the show, I came on and was making fun of him wearing 35. But yeah, Vernon's wearing 16. I'm down on the field before they play Miami. He's wearing number 1. I tweeted it out, and I get an angry call like, "What are you doing?" And it's because of special teams. I'm like, "Listen, dude, Vernon's not playing any special teams. It's not because of special teams. It's because number 16 sucks, and he wanted number 1, and he's good enough to wear number 1, so that's why he's getting it." So stuff like that, like just being down the field this year. Or this past year, we're just like stuck in the press box with a mask on and like a boxed lunch because of COVID. So I'm excited to get back to normal, like being in front of the person that I'm interviewing and being able to, talk to them, not through a computer screen, getting back into stadiums. Well, I was at Texas A&M where Dan Mullen said that there were 1 million people in the stands. So that was a normal experience. But other than that, it was pretty empty stands everywhere. But it was weird being at Ole Miss. You've been to Ole Miss in the Grove for a game?
I have not yet.
So I was there, and I pull up Saturday, empty, and that was, it kept me from getting fired because I think if all the stories I've heard of the Grove are true, I might not have made it.
Sundresses and cowboy boots.
They have chandeliers. Yeah. They tailgate with chandeliers. It's a whole different ball game out there.
You might not be working, and you might not be,
They're like, "Where's Nick?" Like, I don't know. He's in a tent somewhere.
Oh my gosh, man! Oh man!
But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing the student section roll in sometime around the first quarter and leave sometime mid to early third quarter.
Yeah, it was interesting, and this isn't to put down students at all, but I think within the first week of students' tickets being on sale, that they announced that they had sold 7,000 student tickets. And again, I'm not trying to be that guy that sits on my my high horse or anything, but I remember when I was an undergrad, so from 2006 to 2010, you had to submit your name into a lottery system that was based on the number of credit hours that you had. And there was a vast number of students that never got the chance to get tickets. So, for all you students, go. Tickets are so cheap. I think they're like $15-20 a game. It's just an awesome experience, and you're going to look back and wish that you were there. So, but congratulations to the University of Florida opening up the stadium for the fall. And of course, that means tailgating, which is my favorite part of the season as well. Also, Nick, before Corey gets on and cramps our style a little bit, big shout out to Florida Gator legend Udonis Haslam. He gets his first 3 weeks ahead off of who was it again? Dwight Howard. Nearly takes the head off of Dwight Howard, and we get a photo that may forever be enshrined in a statue format outside of American Airlines Arena, or whatever they call it these days.
What's the movie? Dead Poet Society. I saw it happening, and I immediately wanted to like get up on my desk and be like, "Oh, Captain, my Captain." UD gets no playing time. As soon as he gets in to his first game, immediately, hockey term, Dan, immediately becomes the enforcer.
That's right.
Handles business, and they're like, hey, enjoy your first game this year, but you got to get out now. Now you're out.
Do you think the Miami Heat should sign Udonis Haslem to a lifetime contract to do that to one player every year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
You remember back in – so I can't remember who it was, but it was back when the Pacers, when the Big Three was just starting, and it was the Heat Pacers, and I forget their stadium or their arena is called something Fieldhouse. Yeah, and it looks like old school, and they were doing like the gold out or the yellow out, and it looked really small, and the yellow made it look even smaller, and it was super loud. And Hansbrough hit somebody, and they were just like, "Yo, UD, like." Tape up, get in there, buddy. Tyler Hansbrough just hit Dwayne Wade in the head. Got to go take care of business.
It's time.
And he immediately comes in. He shoves Hansbrough. I'm like, this is the Heat have made a hockey team with UD as the enforcer. He's the right.
Up until this year, the Heat might have been able to beat the Panthers in hockey too. So, but shout out to Udonis Haslem. I'm not sure, Nick. Of course, you're a big hockey fan. But I'm not sure if this is the end of Udonis Haslem's career. I think this is his final season. But what a legend and what a way to go out for UD. A Hall of Famer in my book.
You know what I really love about baseball, and you probably have to get to a certain status, but like Derek Jeter announced, hey, this is going to be my last year. And everywhere you go, the last time you're going to play there. So let's say Derek Jeter goes to Florida, and hey, this is the last time Derek Jeter's going to play in Miami. Like before the game, they would present him with something. Mariano Rivera, I think his last game in Boston or his last game in Cleveland, maybe they presented him a rocking chair with broken bats because Mariano Rivera had this nasty two-seamer that would break a bunch of bats. So it was a rocking chair made out of broken baseball bats and stuff like that. Like I would love to see Udonis Haslem get like kind of like I don't know if he's gotten to that status outside. America's team fans like you and I, but I like that about baseball. They you get an opportunity to get fun like little gifts and like a farewell tour. Chipper Jones got one for the Braves.
Yeah. Now I don't know if Udonis Haslem has that respect like nationwide, but he has that respect in my book. So if he wants to come up to Tampa, we'll get him like a Cuban sandwich or something and eat it together and catch up about life. I'm not sure if that
Tampa puts like mayonnaise on Cuban sandwiches, and that doesn't.
No, I'm not exactly sure that they do, Nick. That's an inaccurate fact. Nope, just a traditional Cuban sandwich. We just invented them here, and Miami tries to pass them off as we brought them here, of course, from Cuba. But
Cuban sandwiches aren't Cuban. There's no Cuban sandwiches in Cuba. That's a strictly Cuban American thing.
Well, then it sounds like it's a Tampa thing. So congratulations to Tampa for inventing and, of course, having the best Cuban sandwich. No, it's just your traditional ham, Swiss, mustard, and pickle on Cuban bread that's then pressed. I mean, it's incredible.
It's a Miami thing.
Nah, I'm not sure it is, but we'll go to the history books and we'll report back next week. ESPN announced their first post-spring top 25 rankings. I would imagine this is going to probably change 17 more times before the season does start. But they have Florida ranked number 17. Alabama's number 1. Georgia's number 3. Texas A&M is number 7 as the 3 other SEC teams ahead of Florida. Do you like that spot for the Gators? Do you think 17 sounds about right? Too high, too low?
These are all based on how you finished last year and what you have coming back. If you look at how Florida finished last year, it's like a plane that when they put the landing gear out, the landing gear just fell from 10,000 feet, and you had to try to figure out how to land a plane with no landing gear. Then you lose your quarterback and all the other players. So, yeah, I think Florida should be a top 25 team. Are you top 15? I don't know. There's just so many questions. We've talked about it. What does the offense even look like next year? Because it's not going to be throw the ball 45, 50 times a game. It's going to be completely different offense. So I think you've got a ton of questions plus a terrible ending. So yeah, I don't think Florida deserved to be a top 10 team or even, maybe a top 15 team heading into the season, but certainly deserve to be a top 25 team. I think they are one of the best 25 teams in the country.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's so much that hinges on Emory Jones. I think that there's a lot that hinges on Florida's improvement on defense as well. I don't think that there's any belief that Florida won't be able to put up, points and probably put up a lot of points next year, whether it's running the ball, with their stable of running backs or Emory Jones, moving the ball. And certainly I think that he's a capable enough passer for Florida to be able to move the ball downfield. The question is, of course, will Florida's defense be able to step up? I think that they were ranked 100th in pass defense last year. So Jules Montaner and, the crime dog, Wes McGriff help improve that group. Obviously, you're replacing, a bunch of safeties, a couple cornerbacks. And so just as a whole, Florida stands to improve a lot on the defensive side of the ball, more so than just what do they have on the offensive side of the ball. So I think 17 is about right. I think that if you were to look top to bottom, I think anything after 12 to 20 probably gets a little murky. I can see Florida being ranked a little bit higher. I could also see them if they were ranked about 20, but I think that you're right. They're definitely a top 25 team. Just a matter of, what Florida is able to do. They do get a softer start to the schedule than they traditionally do, or they have historically, a softer start.
You haven't looked at like week 3 yet?
No. It's a start. Oh, I thought that was week 4. No,
week 3 is Bama.
I thought that was week 4.
Week 3 is the defending national champion.
So Florida starts off with obviously a tough schedule at the beginning of the season, as I was saying. They have FAU and then they play at South Florida here in Tampa, which I would imagine is going to be a predominantly Gator heavy crowd. But for some reason, I thought that they had that Samford game earlier in the season. So that's my apologies. But yeah, no, I mean, Florida does, get the chance to play against, two teams that they should be able to throw the book out in terms of getting Emory comfortable. Florida is going to obviously have to do quite a bit on defense in those first couple of weeks to get ready for an Alabama team that, of course, is going to be ranked number 1 in the country when they play.
Yeah, that's here's the question. Would you rather Alabama's got a new quarterback, new running back, bunch of new pieces. I mean, I think they set, a new record as they do every year. Every year they set up a new record for, how many guys to get drafted. Would you rather play Alabama week 3 or would you rather play Alabama week 8 when they've got a chance to, 6-7 games in and figure some things out?
No, week 2, week 3, right? Not week 1, because they'll spend the entire time preparing for you. And I don't think that Florida can stand to be spent the entire offseason being prepared for them. I think that, there's still question marks on Alabama's roster. Obviously, they recruit exceptionally well. They've got Bryce Young coming in, who I think is going to be the next, good quarterback for Alabama. But I don't ever want to play Alabama, right? And if I do, I would rather it be earlier in the season before they're humming and hawing. But I don't think that there's a good time. Would you rather play them earlier in the season, later in the season? I would rather play them maybe after a week game, and then maybe they have another week game after, or another tougher game. I don't even know. I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think like you said, there's really no good time, but on flip the script, also you're still trying to figure things out. With 2 games you're playing before, that's nice to get, a couple tune-up games before Alabama. But like, as we saw, and I think things will be different. Things will be different this year. Last year, I think it took teams a while. I mean, like Alabama, how many they give like 700 yards to Ole Miss, and we've talked about it before, where you're trying to find answers in the spring, and sometimes you don't find those answers until you're playing actual games, and maybe Alabama is still looking to find answers with whether it's on offense or on defense. But I think Florida probably still be in that same boat week 3 as well.
Yeah, I think that Florida has the best time to play them than they do anybody else that Alabama's playing against. Alabama will, I think, still be trying to figure it out. Obviously, they're replacing their offensive coordinator. They're replacing a number of other coaches, but for some reason, they always seem to act like nothing happened, and they just switch out the nameplate of the door of the desk that office has. So
yeah, and they open with Miami this year.
Cupcake.
I think that they open with Miami, and then they've got their Florida sandwich is the bread. The bread is Mercer and Southern Miss. So I don't think there's any looking forward. Past
that's what Miami calls a Cuban sandwich.
That's Miami Cuban
sandwich. That's a Miami Cuban sandwich. No, that's interesting. I don't even know how Alabama gets excited about, playing a Samford or a Mercer or a school like that every week. But I don't like it because it allows them to try some things, but it also allows some folks that, are maybe the backups to get more playing time. And so when they can come in and play against Florida, where Florida only has 2 games, and yes, I know they're FAU and USF. They both seem like slightly harder games than Mercer and Samford. But I guess we'll see. I don't have much analysis because I know Alabama is just going to put out a juggernaut team every year. And I'm just, hoping and praying that Florida can compete against them.
Well, you don't have to put pads on, Dan, so you just get to sit there and drink some beer and cheer.
That's exactly right. Tickets, I think, right now are going for about $400, $500 on the market. So
that's crazy because can't you get like someone was just talking on our message board over at Rivals, and they were saying you can get a 3-game pass that includes Alabama for like $180.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that special is still available. I'd have to double check. I didn't check my ticket specials before the show started today. But yeah, you get that game. I think you get one of Vanderbilt or Samford, or maybe it's Alabama, Samford, and maybe I don't know. I forgot what the ticket package is, and this would be a great time to look it up, wouldn't it?
I'm here. This is a win-win for all parties.
Okay.
Never play Vanderbilt at home. Always play in Nashville.
I agree.
It's going to be hard to draw people to Florida for the Vanderbilt game. It's much easier to say, hey, go party in Nashville. Go see the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Go to Nashville. And Vanderbilt, hey, when Florida comes, we got 10,000 people in the stadium. That's more than we normally have.
Nick, I love that idea. I think that we should petition to always have the Florida Vanderbilt game there.
Always. Florida Vanderbilt should always play in Nashville. No sense in playing that game in Gainesville.
Yeah, I actually really love that idea. I would like to petition that we make that a rule. And I will promise the University of Florida that I will be there for the first 5 games.
You pledge 5 straight trips.
I pledge the first 5. After that, I'll be in my late 30s. You never know where life might late 30s. Yeah, you never know where life might keep me at that point. But I can promise the first 5, and then I can promise 10. I can promise 10 in the first 15 years.
That's a large commitment.
That is. Okay, so Spencer, thank you. Thank you for being a great help. So Alabama mini plan is the Alabama, Vanderbilt, and then either FAU or Samford. And then you have that's $180. But I would imagine
paying $180 to go see the Bama game.
Yeah, but I would imagine that ticket is about as close to God as you're ever going to get, right? The Tennessee plan is $120, and you get that game, the Vanderbilt game. You're approving it, Nick, right here, or FAU and Samford, or $150 for the FSU game with Vanderbilt, and then you get FAU or Samford.
What's the best? Okay, so what is the best plan? The Alabama plan is literally just the Alabama game.
You can literally flip that game for probably your cost. And even if you take a slight, if you don't make $180 on selling an Alabama game, you can sell the Vanderbilt game or the FAU or Samford game and make up the difference. So that's a good investment. That's probably a better investment strategy than like Dogecoin would be right now.
So you're,
But
you
that's
would
pure.
rather,
That's pure unadulterated profit.
like, I can't
But like, I
imagine
don't know if you could flip the Tennessee or Florida State games
for
for
120 or
profit.
for 150.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Emory Jones, the PFF Emory Jones, being drafted number 6. To me, the first thing I thought when I saw that was, all right, well, they think Florida's going to be undefeated, like for a national champion contender, because like that's how I see Emory Jones getting to that spot. If you're undefeated going into Florida State, I know the timeline last year was saying Florida State, skipped out on an ass whooping.
Yeah.
So if Florida's undefeated heading into Florida State, that means you've already beaten Alabama, beaten Tennessee. Maybe you flip that 150 easy.
Yeah, potentially. But it's also a tough game to sell, right? It's still Thanksgiving weekend.
2 days after Thanksgiving.
Right. If FSU is terrible, which they likely will be, it could potentially be cold. It could potentially be rainy. It's not necessarily like a draw. I mean, if Florida's doing really well, you have to hedge your bet on that one, Nick. You got to hedge.
To me, it seems like, you get the crowd that's like, all right, just had Thanksgiving dinner. Let me go watch the executioner put his mask on and beat our rival big. Because I don't think Florida State's going to be very good this year. And I mean, last year probably would have been bad. Would have been really nice to sandwich in a Florida State game with how Florida ended that year. Like you said, just a nice cupcake game right there in the middle of that gauntlet.
Yeah. And then the Tennessee game, again, I don't see Tennessee being very good this year. They lost, some of their best players to the draft and to the transfer portal. They bring over a subpar coach and Josh Heupel. I don't think that you can flip that game. I mean, if you're, practically touching the sun from that seat, it could be hot. It could be a bad, opponent. You're not going to make a lot of money from that FAU or Samford game or that Vanderbilt game. So I think if you want to make money and invest in your Florida Gators, then the Tennessee or the Florida State game would be the best to invest back to the university. If you want to invest in yourself and your pocketbook, invest in an Alabama game, flip it, make some money, upgrade your tickets, and just keep moving up. Just constantly keep flipping. It's like the guy that traded a paperclip for like a Corvette, right? Or a house, whatever.
Yeah, you're making 0 Dogecoin for flipping that Samford ticket.
That's right. You might have to give somebody some Dogecoin. So, all right, Nick, let's get into some Gator news of the week before we get our friend Earl Okine on the show. I want to get some of your thoughts on baseball. So I'm going to start with that. But before we do that, let's give our friends over at Roof Soldier a shout out. If you need a new roof, if your roof is leaking, or if your insurance company is making you replace your roof, or you just want to get prepared for hurricane season, which is coming up in just a few short weeks, mention Stadium and Gale. You'll receive $1,000 off your roof replacement. Again, give them a call, 1-877-ROOFS-FL, 877-766-3735. Mention Stadium and Gale, and you'll receive $1,000 off your roof replacement. Nick, this has become an opportunity for us to collab. So this is Gator News of the Week featuring Nick De La Torre. We're starting with Gators baseball. Gators go 2 of 3 against Georgia. They win another series at home. They face Arkansas, who is number 1 in the country after they took 2 of 3 against Tennessee this past weekend. Baseball's ranked 8th or 9th, depending on the poll, in the country. Talk to us a little bit about baseball and then what Florida needs to look forward to against Arkansas this week.
Yeah, so Florida takes 2 of 3. They lose the Sunday game. A sweep would have been nice, but I think if you really look at their record right now, 17-10 in the SEC, 35-16 overall. You really look back to that South Carolina series, which is their first road series, getting swept in Columbia. That's starting to loom large. So Florida at 17-10 is 2 games behind Arkansas in the SEC, 1 game behind Tennessee in the SEC East, and a half game behind Vanderbilt. So they're tied with Mississippi State for 4th. Really tough track for Florida to win the SEC. I think they would need to sweep Arkansas, who is number 1 in the country. And Florida's only 7-9 on the road this year. They would need Tennessee to lose 2 games to South Carolina. Or no, they would need Tennessee to get swept by South Carolina because Tennessee holds a tiebreaker over Florida. They would also need Vanderbilt to lose a game, and they would need Mississippi State, I think, to lose 2. So probably not winning the SEC, but just don't get swept by Arkansas this week and win a game in Hoover against whoever you get matched up with in the SEC tournament. And I think right now, sitting at 9, you're pretty solid to host a regional. If Florida could win 2 against Arkansas and then maybe 2 games in Hoover, you could sneak into national seed hosting spot. But beating the number 1 team twice at their place is going to be a tough ask. It's not out of the realm of possibility for Florida to be a national seed. But if you only win 1 game against Arkansas, I think you probably have to be really competitive, keep the next 2 games, the 2 losses close, and then maybe even get to Sunday, get to the SEC tournament championship game. So I think Florida, unless they lose 3 games at Arkansas and lose their first game and get bounced out of the tournament, is pretty solid and set for a regional host, which is what you want when you're playing the first season in a $65 million brand new baseball stadium. You don't want, last Sunday to be the last time you get people in the stands. So tough task. It'll be a really fun competitive series starting on Thursday. Everyone starts Thursday this week because of the SEC tournament. Can't hear you, Dan.
Let me turn my microphone on. 2 quick questions. Number 1, are they still doing – I think they started this a few years ago. Are they still regionalizing the regions, if that makes sense? Are they still –
Yeah. So it was weird this year. So they've already named 20 potential hosting sites, and that was based on COVID. So not only just the season that you had, but based on COVID. Can you handle having 4 teams? Because there's 35 players on a team, 3 coaches, 2 assistants, graduate assistants. Then you've got trainers, family. Can you handle, let's say, 200 people, testing them every day or testing them every other day? So the 20 host sites were named, and then that'll be whittled down on Sunday night, Monday, to the 16 hosts. So yes and no. So let's say a 3 seed wins one of the regions. Well, they can't host because they're not one of the hosting sites. So one of the hosting sites would then, even though their team, let's say Florida is a host but loses in the regional, Gainesville would still be potentially a super regional hosting site for 2 other teams if you have 2 non-host win regionals. So yes, they're trying to regionally, like if FAMU wins their conference, they will most likely be in Florida's region because it's an easy trip for them. They wouldn't send them to Gonzaga.
Gotcha.
In Washington.
Shout out to Silk.
Shout out to Silk.
Silk, we had a discussion, and since you're here, welcome to the show. We had an over/under on how many passes Harlem was going to throw today. So how many did Harlem get in the air?
0.
Yeah,
I won.
I took the over. I set the passes at 4.5.
Productive day, 24 zip, probably MVP. Got busy, but we're still working on 4 passes.
I set the over at 4.5. Dan immediately took the under. No faith in Harlem's right arm, and I took the over. But
I think next game. Well, to his credit, he wasn't called any throws as well.
Okay.
So part of it's on the coach. But the plays they do call for him, he got busy, man. We had a makeup game, man. Sorry, I'm glad you guys hold it down. I know we got an interview today and everything. Thanks for holding it down, man. But I had to do this makeup game for Junior.
Well, we're glad to have you on. We'll catch you up on what you missed. We had some exciting talk earlier. We're just running through the Gator news of the week here. We moved it up in the show to try to buy some time before you hopped on. So Gators play Thursday, Friday, Saturday in baseball, and then we'll find out what seed they have on Sunday, and then they'll begin playing. I'm sorry, when did you say the regional starts?
I think they scatter them. So some of them will be on. Someone will start Thursday. Some will start Friday. We won't know until the selection show.
Okay. All right, perfect. Well, we'll be looking out for that. In other news, the Gators placed, 362 student athletes had over a 3.0 GPA for the semester. So congratulations to all 362 students that did that. We didn't announce it last week, but Gators basketball for men's and women's season tickets went on sale last Tuesday. Florida is going to be playing FSU and UConn, at least at home. I think they play Milwaukee at home as well. We've got a couple other games that they'll be announcing soon, but those tickets went on sale. Men's golf is currently in their regional tournament. They sit number 9 after the first day in their regional, I believe, out of 10 teams. They're plus 11 on par 3s today, but they're minus 11 on par 5s. But they still have 2 more days to make that up. In other news, Joe Padgett was named SEC Freshman of the Year. He also earned a spot on the All-Freshman team. Tyler Wilkes was also on the All-Freshman team, and Ricky Castillo was a second-team All-SEC member. Women's golf finished 7th overall in their region. They just missed advancing to the top or to the NCAA championship, which is the top 6 teams from each regional. They were in a neck and neck battle all the way up into the last hole. The Gators parred and they were down by a stroke. They needed USC to miss a putt, drain an 11-foot putt. The Gators don't make it, but valiant effort on their behalf. Gators lacrosse beat Mercer in the first round of the NCAA tournament 23-5, and then they avenged a 12-11 loss earlier in the season against Jacksonville by beating them 17-3, and that they will be advancing on to the quarterfinals of the NCAA tournament. Gators softball competed their butts off this weekend, advancing all the way to the SEC championship, unfortunately losing to Alabama in that game, but they will be the number 4 overall seed in the women's softball tournament. In men's and women's swimming, they announced that Kristen Merslack will be joining the team as an assistant coach. Kristen Merslack is, I guess, how you pronounce it. She was in the same role at Pitt for the last 2 years. So welcome to Gator Nation. Men's tennis will be competing literally right now in their round of 16 against Illinois. So by the time that you listen to this, that match will be over. But best of luck to men's tennis. And then finally, in track and field in the SEC tournament, UF men's team finished 4th, and the women's team earned 6th place. So that is your Gator news of the week.
Did you skip over softball?
I did not. I mentioned that that softball had a valiant effort this weekend. They advanced all the way to the SEC tournament. They lost to Alabama in the SEC championship, but they earned the number 4 overall seed in the tournament. So with that being said, let's give a shout out to our friends over at Cardinal Financial and Carlton Black. So if you are looking for a new mortgage, reach out to Carlton Black with Cardinal Financial. He's licensed in Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and Virginia. So any type of home loan, conventional loan, FHA loan, VA loan, construction loan, refinance, whatever you may need, give Carlton Black a call, 404-769-5501, or email him at carlton.black@cardinalfinancial.com. Again, 404-769-5501, carlton.black@cardinalfinancial.com. Let's get our friend Earl Okine on the show. Silk, what it do, baby?
Vibing, man.
So you should have heard him. He goes, "Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen." And I was like, "Oh man,
you can't handle the gents."
I'm like, we have never sounded more Caucasian on the corner.
On the corner, definitely sounded Caucasian on the corner. That's hilarious.
I didn't even realize I said that. Wow, I sound like a nerd.
Hello, fellow podcast listeners. Thanks for tuning in.
Depends what it do, man. Cam, everybody good?
Good. I wanted to circle back, but still, he can't see all that stuff in the chat though because he wasn't here, right?
No, I can't.
If Spence, if you can, I can copy and paste that stuff in. We were talking about the mini plans because Dan goes, Florida starts the season off pretty easily. And I'm like, you don't know, Bama comes in, he's like, as I said, Florida has a really tough schedule to open the season. So the camp, they're in the mini plans because the tickets for the secondary market for tickets for Alabama are $200 to sit in the nosebleeds, but they have these mini plans. And we were trying to figure out which plan was the best. Alabama's is $180, and then you get either Vanderbilt, FAU, or Samford with the Bama, and then Tennessee and Florida State. So we're selling mini plans. We're trying to figure out which one's the best.
See, the FAU Samford mini package is the mini package you want to take your kids if this is their first season, for sure wins.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the vibe with that one. Other than that, whatever package you get, you got to get the one with Bama in it.
Well, Dan is immediately flipping that Bama ticket, which makes sense. You can't flip the other ones.
No, you gotta really get those tickets to go take the kids for you just there for the food, the good times, no stress.
Probably the stadium and Gale tailgate.
Yeah, I made the message. I made the message board mad. So if someone's like, I live in Philly, I can only get down for one game. Should I come down for Alabama or Tennessee? And I was like, well, it depends. Do you want to come down and feel terrible about spending money and watching your team lose, or do you want to
hey, Nick, I'm gonna tell you something about me on this show, bro. What we not gonna do is predict the L.
Okay.
Not at the same corner, same time, bro.
Okay, well,
I'm homer to the end, so I got us beating Bama by at least 21.
All right, all right, grow up, Peter Pan.
I grow up week 3.
I'll grow up. That'll be the Monday show post Bama. Yeah. I'm all grown up.
I sent the link to Earl. He should be in any second.
He's Gainesville High legend, Earl Okine.
That's right.
I clicked on ask him. I think he and I both feel the same way about Will Muschamp.
How do you feel about Will Muschamp?
Fuck that guy. This is not in the show, is it?
It will be on YouTube. So congratulations.
Oh, great.
Unedited version on YouTube. I looked at a ticket on StubHub for $305, and then after fees, it was over $400.
Jeez,
ain't that funny?
$400.
It was one of those corner end zone type tickets. It was $305, but then after everything was said and done, it was going to be $400, a little over $400. And I was that's 33% fees.
What's TickPick?
Is it really 33% fees on StubHub?
It was something crazy. I think it's because they have the ticket handoff. I think they charge you more.
It's the cheapest one you can ever find. It'll always be lower than whatever the same tickets are listed on StubHub or Ticketmaster.
TickPick. That's a funny name.
TickPicks, yeah. Is StubHub is it a sliding fee? Is it a percentage of the money, or is it just it seems like they should just have a flat fee?
No.
Oh, so it's if you buy $1,000 ticket, your fee is more expensive. That makes no sense. They're not doing extra for.
So this is what I learned. I was talking to a buddy of mine that works in that. Yeah, and we'll get him in here in a second. Is that a lot of times people are afraid to pay certain prices for above certain prices for concert tickets, but they don't mind because they just assume that there's a convenience fee that they have to pay that a lot of times that money doesn't go to just Ticketmaster, but it kicks back to the band or whatever.
Gotcha.
What's up, Earl?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up, brother? We're gonna do a quick countdown. We'll get you on and we'll just chop it up for a few minutes. I know that you have a sick kid, so we won't take too much of your time.
Yeah, man, it's all good. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate that. All right, 3, 2, 1. And joining us for the first time on Stadium and Gale is a Gainesville legend himself, former Gainesville high school standout and former University of Florida defensive end, Earl Okine. Earl, how are you doing this evening, my friend?
Doing good, you guys. How you guys doing?
Good, man. It's been a while since we saw each other. It's good to see you again, brother. Earl, want to talk to you. Obviously, grew up in Gainesville. Talk to us a little bit about your recruiting and how you ended up at the University of Florida.
Honestly, it just started near the end of my sophomore year. I think Coach Hevesy started reaching out to me after one of the games, and it was just like pretty consistent up until they offered me my junior year. So they were just checking on me after games and stuff like that. But it was a pretty exciting time. So it was pretty it was new for me, but they reached out pretty early.
Earl, what other schools recruited you, or did you look at going to any other schools, or growing up in Gainesville, being a Gator fan, was it kind of an easy decision for you?
I pretty much knew I was gonna go to Florida, but I had a lot of other offers. Like Ole Miss was my first ever offer. A lot of SEC schools like Vandy, Florida State was on me heavy. It was either gonna be Florida or Florida State, to be honest, and just a whole bunch of schools that I honestly didn't really look too hard at. But I already knew where I was going, to be honest.
Dan Mullen said that to us one time. He was like, I think it was his first year at Florida. He was like, there's just kids that like being in Starkville, like, yeah, you have to like offer them. He's like, but I know that kid's not coming to Starkville. It was like, I have to do my due diligence. Was there like a school, like maybe Oxford? Like you just said, there were some schools that like offered you and you're like, I'm not picking up and moving to Mississippi. Like I can play football somewhere else.
Yeah, it was probably some schools like that, but honestly, Ole Miss being my first ever offer, I actually did consider them. It would have been like a far stretch, to actually like sign, to commit to them and stuff like that. But I definitely gave them a thought. Like, it wasn't just I didn't just throw them away like that. But yeah,
being a Florida boy, if like Penn State comes calling and they're like, hey, you want to come up for a visit? You get there in January. You're like, what is this white stuff on the ground? I don't even own a jacket. Not happening.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Like I didn't see snow until I played for Indianapolis. You know what I mean? So like I didn't see snow until I was like 23 years old. So like that would have been a big shock. Like moving anywhere like up north would have been crazy. And I'm really close to my family. We're a tight knit African family, so it would have been hard for me to just be far away from them.
What was your experience like growing up in Gainesville, being a Gator fan? Like, what was your experience like with the Swamp and just being in Gainesville as a kid?
Man, it was exciting, man. Like, 06 and 07, just being around that whole atmosphere was just electric, man. I didn't really see it like that. I mean, it's like when we was up there in 08 and stuff like that, it was similar, but like being a kid, seeing it through a child's eyes and stuff like that was just incredible, man. Like seeing a basketball team, Joe Cano and all them, and like, Tebow coming in as a freshman and all that stuff. It was just a crazy time to be a Gator, man. It was exciting, man. I loved it. Like, it was just unexplainable. It was unbelievable.
With your family being African, how did they gravitate towards football? Did they embrace it, or was it something they was against?
They were. I'm not gonna lie. They're like both in the medical field. My parents. I'm blessed that they're like both pretty successful people. So they didn't really like the whole football thing. They didn't want me to get hurt. They wanted me to concentrate on school a lot more. Because right now I'm actually back in school trying to get into pharmacy school. So like they just pretty much taught me that school was more important than football. But then when the offers started rolling in, they started realizing how important it was in order for her and me to get that education, like it could play hand in hand. So they warmed up to it.
Okay. Were there any other sports that you played coming up in high school or in Little League? What was your favorite sport? Or when did you realize that football was going to be it?
Ooh, I grew up playing basketball, so one of the main things, because I graduated early, one of the main things that was hard for me to do was to not play basketball my senior year, because obviously that's in the spring after the semester and stuff like that. So I couldn't play basketball my senior year, and yeah, basketball is probably my first love, but football took over when I got a lot better, and when I got under the Friday Night Lights a couple times.
Earl, when you went to UF, you were recruited by a defensive coordinator that left not long after you were after your freshman year. Then a couple years later, Urban Meyer and the coach that recruited you, and John Hevesy, and the coaches that recruited you as well, left, and Will Muschamp, came over. What was that transition like for you?
I mean, now that I look at it now, I guess I had no other like experiences in college ball and stuff like that, but it was kind of a fiasco, man. It was, as a 18, 19, 20-year-old kid, man, you kind of expect some bit of consistency, but it was just not that at all. It was kind of like it was just people doing things that are things that are better for them, that are good for them, and not necessarily other people, which is understandable. But as a young kid, you're trying to make your dreams come true as well. And when somebody else comes in and they didn't recruit you, and they have the guys that they have coming in, it kind of just makes it all kind of funny. So like every year was just a lot different, man. And weirdly enough, the last 2 years were the most stable with Coach Muschamp, and I finally got a little footing and got a chance to go to the next level. But yeah, it was a stressful situation, stressful time to deal with all the movement, all the different coaches every year. It was insane.
You and Will didn't get off to a great start, right?
No.
but you just said that it ended up the right way. I mean, you ended up getting a chance to go to the league. So what was just how did that relationship mature and grow to the point where, from when you first got there to when you're leaving your senior year?
I mean, I guess I got better, but honestly, man, I was going through a lot of things. I had my son, my junior year, my redshirt junior year, and stuff like that. So I was going through a lot of things, man. But honestly, I felt like, nothing against him, man. But he didn't know me like that. He didn't want to, and he's from Gainesville. Maybe he just didn't want me to play or something like that. But he played me because I was good. But like, honestly, I'm not really too sure. I really don't know, man. I was just glad to get out of there with a chance in the league, but we ended up on a decent note. But I'm not sure it's just me that feels that way. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have similar thoughts about their relationship with Coach Muschamp. So
Me too.
I don't think it's too special, man. But it definitely wasn't a great relationship at all.
Real quick, Earl. A lot of players can't. They can't split the two between having a bad relationship with the coach and then the program. Some players leave angry at the coach and also the program. How were you able to kind of split the two?
Honestly, I mean, so much wild stuff had happened to me just personally that like I was just kind of doing it without emotion. Like it was easy for me to just play ball and leave everything else off the field. So like, I didn't really let it get to me. Although I'm sure he wanted it to get to me. Like, he said some things that I don't really agree with, and like, he's done that to a lot of players, I'm sure. But like, I just didn't let it get to me, man. I just tried to forget about it as soon as that my time was over, and get to the next level, and try to make a name for myself. You know what I mean? I just shut it off every time I wasn't around it, man. And that was, I think I got all that from just, how how up and down my career was up until then. It made me mentally stronger, I feel like, and it just wasn't nothing you could say to me was gonna like affect how I play, you know what I mean? So it wasn't that hard to just forget what he was talking about.
Earl, talk to us about your time at UF. You played on you were dressed out for the team that won the national championship. You have the undefeated regular season. Tim Tebow's last year, and then you make the transition, and then your next couple years you're changing defenses. The whole program's kind of changing. What are some of the things you learned most during those 4 years or 5 years?
Just how to compete, how to practice well, how to do it every day. That was one thing that I had trouble doing, was just like being very consistent, man. And that's one thing I saw as a freshman, just seeing pretty much one of the best college football teams to ever exist every day in practice. You know, you kind of just learn how to, like, just not really bring like how hurt you are to it, how fatigued you are to it, and just turn that on. But it's easier said than done. You know what I mean? So I feel like I just learned how to be consistent from all those teams. You know what I mean? And just how to get better, how to work on little things every day, how to chip away and just turn it into one big body of work.
Then I was talking to Alex McAllister about like a year ago. So you played with Indy and Houston, but you spent some time in the CFL also, and he like opened my eyes to it. I didn't know everything that kind of goes on with the CFL, and obviously there's different rules, but then there's only like a certain number of American players that can be on teams, and all this kind of stuff. He was like, he's like, this is it's a whole different world from what you grew up playing in Pop Warner, high school, college, in the league. He's like, I got there and I had no idea what to expect. And it was like a whole culture shock for him. Did you kind of experience the same thing?
Yeah, but fortunately enough, I got to I looked it up a little bit. And pretty much the footwork's a little differently because you're off the ball a yard. So like it was like kind of just slightly delayed when it comes to as far as when you throw your move and as far as pass rush and stuff like that. So the little rules like that, but it's definitely more of a finesse game. It's definitely more like I don't know how to explain it, like more basketball, more footwork oriented type stuff. Like it's definitely a lot different, and it is crazy. Yeah, there's only a certain amount of Americans allowed to be on a team, so no matter how good you are, you could be cut the next day. So it's definitely different up there.
What's the mindset there? Because obviously, you're still getting paid to play football, which is a dream, but you probably want to get back to the NFL. So what's just the mindset for you on a day in, day out basis, when you're playing the CFL?
When I was in the CFL, I was getting a little older, and I was already transitioning into trying to get back into studying medicine. So I wasn't really doing it to get back or to make money. I was kind of just doing it for the love of the game, and just because I was, I'm still in really good shape. I'm not too old. Just so I just didn't feel like I was wasting any time, and that was my mindset. I wasn't, trying to get back or anything. If that would have happened, great to the NFL, but like I was just doing it for the love of the game.
I can attest. I used to see Earl in Gainesville Health and Fitness all the time and just look and be like, I don't know what he's doing, but I don't look like that. And I'm in here every day and we're not lifting the same kind of weights, I guess.
Oh man. Yeah. That's shoot, I'm actually about to probably go there later tonight. My son goes to sleep, to be honest.
Yeah, he's lifting different weights and more weights than me in the gym. I think both things are a factor.
Earl, what's a culture shock like? Earl, what's the culture shock like going from from Gainesville and to University of Florida to the NFL to then going up to Calgary, and then you bounced around for a little bit in the AFL Experimental League, you make it back to the NFL. What did all those experiences, teach you? Because you ended up having some success a few years removed from your first stint in the NFL.
I think it finally clicked, man. Honestly, the whole Houston thing got hurt, and maybe wasn't mentally mature enough. I would say I didn't get in trouble or anything like that, but maybe I wasn't mentally ready at that point in time. But honestly, right after I was done in NFL or after I was done in Florida, like it just clicked. And things like I just felt more like I'm not even sure, man. I just feel like I had handcuffs on, and like as soon as I graduated, man, like I went to the All American game and like was MVP of Texas First Nation and stuff like that. And that was when I first realized like that I'm a good player. Like I knew I was good at Florida, but like, you got coaches that don't really know you saying that, oh yeah, man, you're all right, man, like stuff like that. But when you really know that you're a good player, so like I guess that kind of just like made me realize, okay, bro, they didn't know what they were talking about. They didn't know me at all. And like now I'm about to go. I can go do this now. You know what I'm saying? I'm like tossing around supposed like first rounders and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? It just kind of just made my mentality what it should have been while I was at UF instead of taking into consideration what these coaches are saying. You know what I mean?
Hey Earl, what was your transition from ending the game like? I like to get that experience or what that was like from a lot of former players. So, what was that process of walking away from the game you loved to going into the professional life?
It honestly happened this year, man. Because I was playing for Toronto, and then COVID happened, and then I had a chance to play for Montreal and stuff like that. But I just walked away because I guess my body can still do it, but if I'm not gonna make like the money that would actually be beneficial towards me, I feel like there's not really a future in the CFL for somebody of my age, if that makes sense. And classes were getting a little harder. I was just trying to get my prereqs done to get into pharmacy school, and classes were getting harder, and I just felt like I couldn't give football everything that that I'm used to giving it. You know what I mean? It was kind of like sitting in the back seat to my schoolwork, and I just didn't want to disrespect the game like that.
Was it an emotional walk away, or were you good with it? Do you miss it yet, or do you think you'll miss it in the future?
Oh yeah, I miss football all the time, but not to the point where like I would want to go back and play. Like if I got a chance in the league or something like that, I could play because I'm still healthy, I'm still in good shape. But like honestly, I'm not I'm not sad about it or anything. Got playing in the NFL. I'd probably be bitter if I didn't get those opportunities and stuff like that. If I'm being honest.
Right.
But honestly, it was a happy day, man. I talked to my parents, and they're like, you get off on these teams and stuff, and I'm like, I'm done with it. I think I'm just done with it, man. Like my son was like not even as upset as I thought he was gonna be. So like it was kind of a seamless transition, thank God. So, I felt pretty good about it.
You feel like it was on your terms? Because not a lot of guys get that opportunity where they leave the game on their terms.
All right.
Yeah. That probably softened the blow, but because a lot of people just don't get a call back and they're, oh, I guess I'm retired. But it was just I just knew it. It's just as soon as there was going to be another transition to another team, I was like, all right, this is going to be my opportunity to like to end this. You know what I mean? I gotta, it's time for the next portion of my life, and it's not going to be easy by all means, by any means. So I gotta put the same exact effort that I give football into this, and now I can do it in totality. I saved enough. I don't have to really do too much, work or anything. So like, it seemed like the right time.
Real quick, Earl, before you get out here, we don't want to hold you too much longer. What do you think about Tebow coming back to play at this age? You're retiring, he's coming back. What do you think about that?
Man, that's exciting, man. Because he's one of my favorite players. Like he's my favorite quarterback of all time. He was my first sack in the NFL. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so like when I seen that, because I kind of knew he was gonna get signed as soon as they worked him out. I was like, yo, if he plays tight end, he's gonna be a monster. Because like blocking really at tight end is not so much technique. There's some technique, but more of it is like passionate and like want to. And Timmy is 1,000% that. I feel like he's gonna be a beast. I feel like he's gonna be a monster. So I'm really excited to see him on the field.
Nice.
Well, I love it. Well, Earl, we appreciate your time this evening. I know we had to move some things around in your personal life. We really appreciate it, man. Let everybody know where they can follow you on social media, and certainly best of luck in your endeavor for pharmacy school.
Oh yeah, man. My Instagram is youngbird9. Oh, 3 names, sorry guys. But and on Facebook, just my name, Earl Okine.
Awesome.
Appreciate you guys.
We appreciate it, bro. We'll have you on in the future, man. And best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Awesome,
Thanks
bro.
a lot, Earl.
Earl Okine. Good kid.
Gainesville high school legend, basketball player. I thought you would have known that. So big hooper before he got into football.
You got to speak for the average fan, you know.
True.
Of course, we're recruiting junkies, but sometimes we get like spoiled about what we know because we
True.
Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying. You gotta dumb it down for like the audience.
Yeah, that's usually what I say when I don't know the answer to a question either. It's like I'm just letting for everybody else.
Bro, I was camped out on every message board in the world when Earl Okine was getting recruited. Three-star guy. I can break it down his whole recruitment.
I'll never forget. I was telling the guys before the show. I was telling the guy before the show started. This is back when practices used to be open and stuff. His first probably month of practice. Anytime he would do something, whether it was good or bad, they would just scream Earl every single time. Every coaching staff, or every member of the coaching staff. But good kid. Glad it's all working out for him.
Yeah, man. Well, I do want to say I've been hearing the whispers, and there's a little bit of like mumbling. We got to step our recruiting game up. I'm gonna be the first to admit. Before we move on the show, I just want to say that I'll be the first to admit I've been busy, so I haven't been head first into recruiting like I should be, and like I have been in the past. And also the way this staff recruit don't have me excited about following recruiting either. But I'm back on my game. I got to be on the grind and on the beat as far as recruiting and what's going on in these streets. So we're gonna step it up on Stadium Miguel.
Okay.
Don't be complaining about Dan taking vacation. Not you, Dan Mullen taking vacation. Silk's been on recruiting vacation too.
Hey man, I got to match they fly.
You're just matching the energy. Matching the energy.
Matching they fly. But now I'm getting back on my game, man. I had a couple people hit us up like, yo, love the show, love the interviews, love the content. I would love if you guys pick back up with the crew, man. So I'm hearing that cry. We back in the streets heavy, man. Use our resources a little better.
Yeah, we'll be doing a facts only show pretty soon. We got the June 4th big recruiting day coming up. Nick, you're obviously welcome to join that as well.
Is June 4th open to? Can we pull
up? Nobody's stopping us from attending.
We haven't done it in a while. I didn't get to do a Friday night last year. Me and Junior down to pull up.
All right, let me have my people reach out to their people and we get back to you.
All right, appreciate that.
You got it.
That's a good way to get back on these recruiting streets.
Silk, before you got onto the show, we were talking a little bit about it. ESPN ranked Florida number 17 in their post-spring poll. What do you think? You think that's about right?
I like it. A lot of unknowns, questionable. I mean, we were losing a lot every year, right? At this point, that's what happened when you got a good development and a good coach at the helm. So we're losing guys every year, but you're losing guys at the main spot, and that's quarterback. Fresh face with Emory Jones. Even though he's getting a lot of hype from the media pundits, I like the ranking. Get them guys something to thirst out there and be hungry for. So I'm with it. I think we got all the weapons to do what we got to do, but come in low key and build, like Twitter say, right? Stay low and build. There we go.
Hey, so do a Brent ad read, and then got a couple more questions for you boys.
Shout out to the great folks at Brunt Insurance and Financial Services. My man Greg been down with the Big Three Roller Network from day one. Shout out to the good folks over there, man. If you need life insurance, auto insurance, renter's insurance, or any financial services, please sure to hit my man Greg up at bruntinsurance.com or 954-589-2204. Again, bruntinsurance.com or 954-589-2204. Big policies, big coverage. Greg, what it do?
Maybe somebody wanted you to start saying big whips again. I know that's not this podcast, but
That's for Bennett Auto. Like that's what it like.
Oh yeah, well, Big Whip Insurance. Man, oh man, what a time to be alive. All right, boys. In terms of some things that I wanted to talk a little bit about, we're not that far away from really the start of summer camp and then fall camp not long after. I want to get your guys' opinion. How do you think the running backs are going to carry out in terms of number of carries or maybe percentage of carries?
I stunk at this last year, so I'm just give it another try. Bro, I can't predict these guys. Running back depth chart. Let me tell you what I want. How about that?
Yeah, that works.
Let me tell you what I want. I want Naquan to get the bulk of the carries, to be the bell cow guy. But I think we have some guys that could take the top off of defenses. If Bowman and Linger can catch the ball out of the backfield, like Malik and like Malik did last year, I think those guys can hit some home runs and also not fumble. So I would like to see the younger guys get more touches. So I like Naquan. And second, I would want it's hard for me to bench the older guys, man, because I just know the staff is not going to do that.
Yeah,
I'll prefer to see the younger, more explosive guys that can hit home runs, especially with Emory Jones helping him out to get some long touchdowns. That'll help this offense out big time.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to like rain on your parade, but I'm like, who's going to be behind Emory or next to Emory, in the shotgun play.
I heard Naquan starting though. What do you think?
I don't think he'll start. I think it'll be the older guys.
I think he'll start.
I think Dameon Pierce will be the starter. He's a senior.
Well, let's classify starter not as the person who gets the first carry of the first game.
Right.
Let's classify it as the bulk of the carries consistently. Now, I know there's going to be games where it's a little bit unbalanced, or maybe there's a hot hand, or maybe they're pass heavy one game. But who do you think that person is at the end of the season that gets the most carries?
Naquan. That's why I got Naquan being the guy that had the most carries at the end of the season. He's earned it. You're not just on some he's a senior, but a guy that made the most out of his carries every time he touched the ball. And when he wasn't touching the ball, he was good in pass pro and some other things as well. So I think Naquan's the most rounded running back in the backfield. The most.
And he's not young either. He's not young anymore either, right?
He's a big dog now. Third year.
This will be his third year. So, I think that fits nicely into what Dan Mullen wants. Now, I know Malik and Dameon are going to be older and, longer in the program, but I think that he's past that point where he's no longer just a young guy anymore. So it's okay if he jumps the depth chart, which is a wild take to have. But
I mean, I'm looking at the stats now, and I'm guessing that sacks are counted in for Trask rushing stats.
Depending on where you're looking, but yes, most likely.
But he had more carries, 10 more carries than Naquan Wright last year. So that's got 64 has got to be. I mean, there's probably some broken plays there too, but like 106 carries for Pierce last year, 66 for Malik. And they literally, after Malik fumbled against Texas A&M, like he got buried for a minute and still had 66. Naquan with 54. I like Dameon Pierce. I think Naquan Wright is the more rounded back.
I think the difference is going to be last year we was pass happy. And then I think those guys got more snaps because they're more well rounded in the pass game. I think with Emory Jones leading the way and we being run heavy this fall, I think you got to lean on Naquan to get more snaps is running the ball. Who averaged more per carry? Do you see that?
Yeah. So Dameon Pierce averaged 4.75 per carry. Naquan had just under 3.94 yards per carry last year.
Got you.
It'll be interesting. Definitely interesting to see. Obviously, a lot of that will depend on the offense and how that runs. But certainly, I think we all think, or Silk and I think Naquan Wright gets the bulk. And I think, Nick, did you have a final opinion?
I want to lean towards Dameon. I think Naquan Wright's my favorite running back on the team, just because I think he's more well-rounded. I think he can catch passes. I would say Naquan's almost like a Dameon Pierce and Malik Davis put together, and probably the guy I think is best.
But they don't have half his vision. Like Naquan's vision and balance is just nasty, and I see Malik and Naquan miss a lot of holes. Yeah. Not Naquan, I'm sorry, Malik and Dameon. They miss a lot of holes, man. Like we give our offensive line a lot of flack, but those guys also leave a lot of yards on the field. And I don't think Naquan leave a lot of yards on the field. I think he see a lot of cutbacks and he does a lot of things to always fall forward.
So I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you were saying you want that's how you started. Who do I want to be on top of the depth chart? I would say, yeah, I want to see more Naquan Wright. I just think I know this coaching staff and I know the way that things shake out. Not saying Naquan's young, like he'll be a redshirt sophomore next year, but I think Dameon Pierce is the guy that, he's going to have to play bad for them to give Naquan more touches, more plays per game than him. So that's why
I think they're gonna need more. I think they're gonna need more explosion to win games. They're not gonna be able to rely on trash. I like your take because I'm with you as far as the staff and the seniority. We keep seeing Delance rolled out there, right? And I don't think he's just better. I think he's just older. So I agree with your take, but I think at some point they're gonna have to get somebody that's more explosive to run these read options with Emory to get more explosive plays because you can't rely on Trask's arm and the quick passes and his smarts to move you down the field this year.
And I think I'm interested to see. I had a little whiff of it during spring and asked Malik about it. He wasn't super thrilled about the question, but I was like, hey, can you play slot? Can you kind of like you're not Kadarius Toney? I didn't say that to him, but I was like, you're not Kadarius Toney, but Florida's going to be looking for someone to fill that role, fill that void. And can that be you? And does that open up more carries for a Naquan or for a Lingard or for Bowman if you can have Malik flexed out more and have him playing, kind of a hybrid role?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I mean, I guess with that, who do you think gets more carries, Malik Davis or Dameon Pierce?
Dameon Pierce.
Or more touches. Maybe we'll say touches total.
Touches would be different because I don't think you're throwing it to, like you're designing passing plays for Malik. You're not, designing a pass play to get the ball in Damien's hands.
Yeah, man. For like the top end speed and explosiveness that Pierce doesn't have, I'm gonna need him to run harder, or not. Like somebody got to do something. I'm a Dameon Pierce fan. Over the years, we kind of talked about like what we expected from him being a bowling ball and this bruiser. I haven't seen that yet, and I haven't seen the top end speed. I don't know exactly what Dameon Pierce is really good at.
So you're saying, hey, you're being used as our between the tackles runner, and like that hasn't clicked in your head yet. Like you're not running like the guy that is being asked, like, hey, stay between the tackles and run forward.
Yeah, I don't see that. I see Naquan being that guy. I would like to see Bowman or some other guys that are more explosive. We know exactly what Linger's good at, top end speed. We know what Bowman's good at, just a lot of everything. We know what Naquan's good at. I don't know what Dameon Pierce is. I know what Malik is good at. I don't know what Dameon Pierce is good at.
Do you think
I don't think he's bad at anything, but I don't know what's his strong suit. Like what's his go-to that we're gonna hand him the ball and be like, Damien does this well. He runs between the tackle. He's gonna get us a hard 3-4 yards bruiser. I don't know what he does. Excellent.
You don't know, like, hey, we get to this part of the field or this down and distance. Hey, this is Dameon Pierce time. You don't have that a defined role or situation where this is when you gotta get him the ball.
Right, because one thing Dan Mullen is finding what guys can do very well and getting them the ball in those situations. Mm-hmm. I don't know what situation you get Dameon Pierce in.
I wonder if he's just good enough at a lot of different things is what gets him the ball, right? He may not be excellent at one thing, but he's good enough at enough things to not take off the field or be replaced as quickly.
And Spence just said pass protection. That could be one thing. I'm pretty sure they value that, but I think him, Malik, and Naquan are all good at pass pro. They had no choice last year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, other side of the ball. Well, maybe not other side of the ball at all. Who do you think is your standout freshman? Based on what we know now, any freshman that's on campus, we've had some spring, we had some new enrollees just come in. Who do you think is going to be the best freshman this season?
Offensive defense, or you just going
either just overall, just one player. We have enough content this season to be able to do offensive.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Marshall.
Okay.
I think I don't know that he leaves spring the starter, but I think he's probably the closest one to starting, week one. Talking about Marshall.
Okay.
So I'd probably go with him on defense too. I know there's everyone's talking. Everyone wants stars, and everyone's looking at Corey Collier. I think he might be a year away. Some more development with his body. So I think Jason Marshall is the guy that I think you look at. And then when you look at defense too, it's easier that at cornerback to start day one than it is at safety or at a middle linebacker. It's just like, hey, you don't need to know everything that's happening on the field. You need to know who's in front of you. Don't let him catch the ball, or hey, here's my zone. Don't let anyone catch the ball in that zone.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think that's a good pick. I think the other person that I'm going to say is Donovan McMillan. I think that there's an opportunity that's kind of ripe for somebody to be able to step into the safety role. So I'm going to go with him. I think Jason Marshall is a guy that's going to get a ton of playing time, but I do think that Donovan McMillan is going to probably be my pick for that position.
I'm gonna throw just because he's not really a freshman coming on campus, so I'm gonna throw DeJuan Black on there. And shout out to my man DeJuan Black for making it on campus.
Yep. From
Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, a guy that's been committed since high school. Had to go the JUCO route, but I think DeJuan Black finds his way on the field as a starter some type of way and makes an immediate impact in special teams and also on defense somehow.
I like that. I like that pick as well. I like that pick. Any other surprise freshman names that you want to throw out there?
Surprise.
I think this is
Desmond Watson. I'll go on a limb. I'll say Desmond Watson, add him to the list. Is my freshman. I think he'll get some playing time in some situational circumstances this fall. So I'll go Desmond Watson.
Like that. Nick, any other names for you? I was going to go maybe a guy named, or not a guy named, might go with Nick Elksnis. I think that there's still an opportunity at tight end. I'm not sure if he's the guy that will be, a starter this season, but I do see him contributing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see he kind of fills a void, but I've cautioned, because he looks. I mean, you look at on paper and he looks like Kyle Pitts did when he was a freshman, but Kyle Pitts wasn't Kyle Pitts as a freshman. He was working out with the wide receivers. So I'm high on Nick Elksnis, but I don't know if that's this year.
Yeah.
Jordan Young is a DB that had a really good spring, getting interceptions in scrimmages and. I know they're high on him, so maybe that's another name, as a cornerback. But you've got a lot of guys there, but if Jaden Hill slips up, does Jason Marshall take that spot? Does a Jordan Young start finding some room? So it'll be interesting to me. I don't know that there's a ton of freshmen that will get a lot of playing time outside of the ones that we've named. There's some redshirt guys, like a Jamarcus Weston. I want to see.
Okay.
Some younger guys that we haven't seen play a lot. I want to see more Derek Wingo, who will be a sophomore. More, like I said, Jamarcus Weston. And then, of course, my guy, Jeremy Crawshaw. I want to see my Aussie punter in his first opportunity.
Dude, you're wild. One of the names that I was just looking at the Gators roster, one of the names we've talked a lot about this Florida Gators team this season and what's upcoming. A name that we haven't talked about at all at the wide receiver position, and that's our dude Trent Rittemore. I don't think we've mentioned his name once as a guy that's going to really be able to step up and thrive in this offense.
I think he's already proven himself a little bit to me. That's why, I think when we're talking up and coming guys, I think Witt kind of proved what he could do as a playmaker when he was healthy and on the field. Mm-hmm. Just a dog and a go-getter, man. So I just think I got him penciled in as a starter. I don't think he's an up-and-coming guy. I think we all just kind of know what he brings to the table as far as he's gonna bring his hard hat, go get some hard passes, catch across the middle, do whatever he got to do to make a play. So I think Witt just a guy now. I don't think he's one we just speculating on.
No, I don't even mean just speculating. I just meant in general. We don't really talk about him much.
He might be a guy that just almost like a Tony, where you just need more opportunity, and because of how many guys Florida has had at receiver, just hasn't had that opportunity. And this might be the year for him. Because, you've got Jacob Copeland, and then I think you're kind of looking, does Xavier Henderson take the next step? Who does Florida have to kind of keep that thing going at receiver that they've had? Jaquavion Frazier is the guy I want to see more of. But like
obviously Rick Wells,
of course, super senior Rick Wells, Justin Shorter's still there. But nothing against like a Jordan Pouncey, but like that name doesn't excite me when I'm thinking, like Silk was saying, who can take the top off, who can, give you that explosiveness on offense. That's not a name I would think of. I want to see Jamarcus. Dejon Reynolds is a name, another freshman, maybe. And then I think Trey Whitmore will have the opportunity.
I think Frazier's is going to be one of them guys. The wide receiver room is the last place that we could like just worry about at all. Like, shout out to Billy, man. And he's still recruiting some dogs right now, like as far as the speed wise. He got a kid out of Orlando that he's out there right now that's crazy fast. Another 10-5, 10-400 meter guy that he's on, man. So I'm not worried about the wide receiver room at all. I think Witt's going to do well. I think he'll be penciled in as a starter. It's just going to be all on what our run game can do and what Emory can play action off of if that's just going to get going.
I love it.
What do you think the three starters are? Obviously Copeland, but is Copeland a guy that you can put in the slot as well?
I think he's gonna want to play outside, right?
Right. I understand. Yeah. I mean, you'd probably pencil him in as your Z with Shorter as the X.
Probably.
And then who you throw in the slot? Is Whitmore your slot guy? I mean, that's a big slot guy.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That's a big body.
Well, Florida. This is the Florida's roster at wide receiver: 6'1", 6'1", 6 foot, 6'5", 6'4".
Yeah, all of them big.
6'3", 6'3", 6'3".
All the motherfuckers big.
Yeah, so I don't know who does play that, and that's why your idea of throwing like a Malik or somebody else in there, that can do some of the Kadarius Toney things, right? But Florida doesn't have that short, shifty wide receiver anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of X's and a lot of Y's, right?
I mean, that's why you probably like. Do you
Shorter?
It's hard to not put Cope at that slot spot, considering all the big guys we got. But I understand there's a lot of politics with that as well. But do you maybe put a Malik Davis at that Tony spot, somebody that could take carries and run the ball a little bit here and there, or you just have somebody come in and do jet sweeps? I don't know, but
yeah.
Just on paper, there's no Kadarius Toney, there's no Percy role right now. There's no guy for that.
There's definitely politics to it because, like I said, when we were talking to Malik in the spring, and I brought it up, he gets like this like stink face, and I'm like, I'm not like saying you can't be a running back. I'm saying you have, like a Liam Neeson, a certain set of skills that can help the team in other areas, and like a jet sweep. Like, hey, I feel comfortable with him running the ball. Why don't we give him a handoff from the slot? And now we've got a nickel trying to chase him across the field. And, I just think his skill set, you can kind of move him around. He's not Kadarius Toney, but you can kind of move him around in that same breath as Kadarius Toney. Like great value Kadarius Toney.
Witt won't be Kadarius Toney, but I think he's going to be the slot. Just a guy that you can lean on and rely to catch passes right there. The slot, dependable guy, know the plays. He's not scared to go across the middle. I think he's just gonna be Witt.
Just go ahead, Silk. Say he's a gym rat. His dad was a coach.
Oh no, he's a dog. I have no
first in, last out.
I have no Caucasian generic takes on Witt. You know what I'm saying? Like the jit came out there and made plays right away, man. I haven't had any from go. Yeah. He been 360 dunking. Like gym rats and guys with high motor ain't 360 dunking on some of these internet clips. So he's a guy that can go do some things, man. He's an athlete.
Sneaky athletic, you're right.
Yeah. he's a lunch pail type of guy,
No, he got a Yeti lunchbox.
That's my favorite.
Not a pail.
Bro, we haven't had a lunch pail since like the 50s. Man, oh man.
I love it. Since they got that picture in New York with like the guys building like the Empire State Building.
Oh yeah,
sitting on like that iron 300 feet in the air. That was the last lunch pail in existence.
300 feet in the air. That's funny, Nick. Oh man.
I don't know if that's accurate. 100 didn't seem right.
Oh man. Oh man. All right, boys. So why don't you take us out with a Manscaped ad read, and then we'll close out the show today.
Oh man. It's my favorite ad read. I'm not even prepared for it. So shout out to great folks at manscaped.com. I got the Lawnmower 4.0. I'm shaved and graved, man. I'm looking sophisticated down there. You know what I'm saying? You got to groom. You got to keep the ball deodorant. It's getting hot out here. I just left Harlem's practice. No sweat in the joggers. People looking at me crazy like, Silk, yo, Mr. Nose, it's a little wild out here, man. It's like 90 degrees. You got on joggers. You might want to just get the short season going. I say, you know what? I'm not sweating it because you know why? Ball deodorant by Manscaped. Dude's looking at me nuts. I said, bro, you don't think you need ball deodorant because you never had it. You might just be putting the degree or the Old Spice right on your balls and spicing it up, but you can't do that, man. It's dangerous. It's not pH balanced for that. Shout out to the great folks at manscaped.com. They got your pH balance for excellence. Use coupon code SG at checkout for 20% off and free shipping.
So that's a fantastic ad read.
Oh, thanks, man. That's a true story, by the way.
About spiking up your pubic hair, or about somebody asking you about your ball deodorant?
Oh, all of it. But the guy at the park was like, yo, it's a little too hot for joggers. And I was like, yeah, because you don't wear ball deodorant.
You're like my guy at code SG at checkout. Yeah.
And then like one thing about my coaches, we got listeners now. So shout out to, they're probably listening right now. My coach is a Gator fan. They didn't know about Stadium and Gale. I put them on to greatness. So shout out to Coach Kevin.
Coach Kevin.
Kev, you got to work on like the forward pass. You hear these guys on here. They give me a hard time.
Oh, man. All right, boys. I don't even know whose song of the week it is. Oh, Nick, you had it last week. So I think that turns it back over to Silk. It might have been me, but we'll let Silk you take it since it
was country
cracking up. Since we had to cracking up during the Manscaped ad read.
Oh, man. I'm not going to turn it down. That's definitely who we got. I want to do.
Bro, how high up were they in the air? Now y'all are making fun of me on Twitter. More than 300 feet?
No, that's not. Yeah, that's not that high, Nick. Let me get some Kodak, man. Kodak got a new project out there. Everybody's not too excited about it, but I am because I'm a Florida boy. So let me get Kodak. Don't Leave Me, man. I think that's a ghetto love tune for the streets. Same corner, same time, fellas.
Same corner, same time, ladies and gentlemen.
I can't wait to hear the intro now.
Oh, I can.
Good evening, folks.
All right, boys. We'll see you boys next week.
For sure. Man, I love getting off of this shit though at like 8:23.